Post 1. Am I the asshole for spending my inheritance the way I see fit? Hello, Reddit. I, 48F, don't usually visit Reddit, but my daughter told me I could get an unbiased opinion here. I've been getting a lot of pushback from my family about how I've chosen to spend my inheritance. To give some context, this really started about 20 years ago. My ex-husband, Mike, misunderstood something he saw on my computer that he had no right to see. He just left, and worse, he poisoned our eldest son, Kevin, against me. We officially divorced when Kevin was 13. I have 4 children total, 2 boys, 2 girls, and Kevin is the oldest. The younger 3 understood they needed their mother. Because Kevin was so caught up in Mike's lies, he betrayed his family, and I barely saw him until he was 16. Now, Mike, my ex, was never really present when we were together. He was always busy with work. And when he wasn't working, he spent all his free time in the garage restoring old cars. That was his real passion, not his family. He did try to rope the kids into it now and then, but none of them were dumb enough to fall for it, except Kevin. He was the only one who bought into that little fantasy and spent hours with Mike tinkering in the garage. That's when Mike started poisoning Kevin's mind. Mike passed away when Kevin was 16. I won't speak ill of the dead, but I'll just say that it wasn't entirely surprising. His lifestyle wasn't exactly sustainable. The next few years were hell on me and my family. Kevin never really settled down after Mike died. He was always moody, ungrateful, and impossible to reason with. He refused to spend time with his new dad, Rick, 51 million, no matter how many opportunities we gave him to bond. Rick tried. We all did. But Kevin clearly didn't want to be part of this family anymore. The worst betrayal came one afternoon when I was tidying up in his room and discovered something shocking. Kevin had been hiding dozens of photos of Mike. Framed, printed, even some old newspaper clippings. It was like a shrine, right there in my house, under my roof, after everything that man had done to tear us apart. I threw them away. Every last one. And when Kevin found out, he became irate. He spoke to me in a way no son should ever speak to his mother. After that, he became even more withdrawn, sulking around the house like we were the ones who wronged him. Not long after, I was contacted by a lawyer. Apparently, there was a small life insurance policy in place, and the money came to me. As his mother, as his parent. That's how these things work. Honestly, there was barely enough money to even cover raising Kevin. Now Kevin, who is still acting like a spoiled teenager, is actually threatening to sue me. He says the money was never mine to spend. So, am I the asshole for spending my inheritance the way I saw fit? Top comment. Info. Who was actually listed as the beneficiary on the life insurance policy? Was it you or was it Kevin? OP reply. Technically it was Kevin, but he was a minor at the time, and I'm his mother. Obviously I was responsible for managing it. That's what being a parent is. And I used it for the good of the family. Bills, food, keeping a roof over our heads. Things he benefited from, too, whether he wants to admit it or not. Post 2. Update. You people completely misunderstood my first post. I don't even know why I'm writing a second post, considering how incredibly rude most of you were in the comments of the last one. I came to Am I the Asshole for some perspective, not to be attacked by strangers who clearly don't know what it's like to be a single mother, abandoned by her husband, and left to pick up the pieces. But fine, since people seem so confused, here are some clarifications. Yes, technically, Kevin was listed as the beneficiary of the life insurance policy. But he was a minor at the time. The policy clearly stated the money was for his care and upbringing, and as his only custodial parent, that responsibility fell to me. What do people think raising a teenager costs? Kevin wasn't exactly cheap. He ate like a garbage disposal, he outgrew clothes every few months, and he was constantly acting out after his father passed, sulking around, skipping chores, locking himself in his room. He made life miserable for everyone else in the house. Do you have any idea how hard it is to raise a grieving, angry teenager alone while also trying to protect your younger children from his bad attitude? At one point, I made the difficult decision to take the other children somewhere peaceful, just to give them a break from the constant stress. Somewhere warm and quiet, where we could be together as a family without feeling like we were walking on eggshells. Kevin could have come too if he'd contributed. He was old enough to have a job. He always loved working on cars. And I'm sure he could have afforded a plane ticket if he really wanted to come. But of course, he didn't. Rick, my husband, deserved some nice things too. After everything he went through stepping up as a father figure to kids that weren't biologically his, I thought he deserved a little joy. We also upgraded our kitchen, which added to the value of the house. Again, for the kids' future. One of our daughters got into a really good private high school, and our youngest son wanted to be an influencer, which took a lot of equipment and editing software. I wasn't about to say no to them just because Kevin's father didn't bother naming them on a policy. The money was there, and it was needed. I did what any good mother would do. Now Kevin's lawyer is going on about how the policy was meant to fund Kevin's college education. Supposedly that's what Mike intended. Well, maybe if Kevin had shown any academic potential, that might have made sense. But he wasn't exactly university material. I'm not going to apologize for refusing to throw money at a fantasy when I had real children to care for. You people act like I emptied the account at a casino. I spent the money on my family. Just because Kevin decided to alienate himself doesn't make that my fault. Post 3. Update 2. Kevin came back. I wasn't going to post again, but a few things have happened that people might find interesting, especially those of you who apparently have nothing better to do than judge a mother doing her best. Kevin came to see me, in person. He showed up out of the blue with that same blank expression he always had when he didn't get his way. Like I'd personally offended him just by existing. I hadn't seen him in years. No calls, no messages, not even a holiday card. And now suddenly he's on my porch like we're going to have a nice little chat. I opened the door and went to hug him, because I am his mother, and that's what any normal person would do. And he just stood there. Didn't move, didn't flinch. Like I was a stranger. It was humiliating. Rick was right behind me and saw the whole thing. And let me just say, both he and that lawyer of his were incredibly rude, cold, dismissive, acting like they were too good to even sit down in my living room. They said almost nothing but made it clear they thought I was some kind of criminal, typical. He didn't come alone either. He brought some expensive-looking lawyer with him, a woman in a pantsuit who wouldn't even sit down. They had a file with them, documents, spreadsheets, copies of bank transfers, credit card records, all picked apart and highlighted. I couldn't even look at it. They didn't want to talk. They kept hammering me with questions. Where the money went, why nothing was left, what had been done in Kevin's name. As if I was on trial in my own home, as if raising him and his siblings wasn't enough. Kevin barely spoke, and when he did, I barely recognized the voice. It was cold, clipped, calculated. It didn't even sound like him, like he was reading from a script someone else gave him. I don't know who got to him, but it was obvious he'd been coached. Maybe it was that lawyer. Maybe it was someone in the family feeding him lies. He used to be so sensitive, so open. Now he just stares. And the way he looked at me, like I was nothing, like I was just another obstacle. At one point, the lawyer asked me what happened to the college fund Mike had intended. I told her the truth. Kevin wasn't exactly college material. He barely passed high school. I said, "Why throw away money on someone who couldn't appreciate it?" Rick tried to change the subject, but the damage was done. As they left, Kevin paused at the door. He looked at me, cold, hollow, and said, "You had one job, one dot." Then he walked away. And that's when I found out, from my niece, who of course is feeding him information now, that Kevin's planning to sue me. For what? For doing my best? For keeping the house running? For giving his siblings a future? This is what I get for being a mother. Post 4. Final update. Everyone's turned on me. Kevin followed through. He sued me, and he won. He had every document in order, every transaction, every receipt. He brought statements from banks I barely remember using, old emails, even screenshots from group chats. And the worst part? One of my own daughters, my own child, handed them over to him. She said she couldn't lie under oath. She's always been dramatic. The judge didn't even look at me. They just read the ruling like it was some done deal. Like I didn't matter. Like the decades I spent raising that boy didn't count for anything. Rick told me afterward that he couldn't do this anymore. Said I dragged him into something I wasn't honest about from the beginning. Said he'd already been thinking about leaving. So he did. Just packed a bag and walked out. The daughter who testified won't speak to me. The youngest won't return my messages. I think she's staying with friends now. The house had to be sold to cover the judgment. I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment. Alone. And here's the part that really burns. I found out Kevin has children. My grandchildren. He never told me. I had to hear it from a cousin who saw a picture on Facebook. A little boy and a baby girl. He's cut me out completely. And now everyone's acting like I deserved this. Like I'm some kind of monster. All I did was survive. All I did was try to protect my family from falling apart. I didn't spend that money on me. I spent it on all of us. On them. But I guess that doesn't matter anymore. Post 5. RR Legal Advice. Do I have a case for emotional distress? Title. Do I have a case for emotional distress if my adult son sued me and turned my family against me? Body. I don't know if this is the right place, but I've recently been through a really traumatic situation. My adult son sued me over money that I used while he was a minor. I was his mother and had full custody. I used the money for food, housing, school, and family expenses. Apparently that wasn't good enough. As a result of the lawsuit, I lost my house, my husband left, my daughters won't speak to me, and I've been receiving online harassment. It's taken a huge toll on my mental health. I've had panic attacks, sleep problems, and anxiety over being vilified for doing what I thought was right. Do I have a case for emotional distress? I don't have money for a lawyer, so I'm hoping someone can recommend one who works on contingency. Also, I recently found out my son has children. I believe I should have grandparent rights, and would like to know if I can pursue visitation or custody. I just want justice. I don't think it's right that a mother can give everything to her child and be repaid like this.